What is going on, everyone? AP over here at Run Pure Sports, bringing it to you once again. We got the Lineup Builder Show. I'm here as always with my guy Rubio. Rubio, what's going on, my man? How was Sunday for you?
Oh, Sunday, man! I MNF FanDuel. I had a few teams in the top 500. And, I thought I would have a sweat. I was super overweight on AJ Brown, and I didn't have too many Brown and Lamb lineups. Man, that was the thing. That was the kicker. I had a couple of top 500s with Gus Edwards, Javonte Williams playing, and stuff like that. But otherwise, we're in the right place. I broke even somehow. Even when you don't get to the top 10 or whatever, you still break even. That means you're on the right path. So definitely was on the right path yesterday, and I know we're going to be on the right path tonight because the Raiders slates, those are fun. Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, and then you got Jacoby Myers, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those are my 5 captains. I can just cut it at that.
Yeah, tonight's slate's going to be very interesting. We're going to get into it. We're going to break it down. I don't tilt like often, and I wasn't like that tilted at all, but had such a nice script yesterday. Shout out to Big T with the new flow chart over there. That I thought it was the absolute nuts. It got me. I already liked some of the plays, but then it just confirmed kind of the angles that I was on. And we're going to bring that up. We're going to look at it too. Again, it's always so funny. I get so many texts, like when my Chiefs lose, I get so many texts like, oh, are you all right? Like, what's going on? Or, the ice cold little emoji. Guys, I mean, come on. Like, this stuff does not affect me, bother me at all. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. Shout out to the Broncos. I love the fact that they played. Did you see that they were playing the Taylor Swift music after that game? It was just too good. It was too good. And yeah, and I mean, shout out to the Broncos. Again, like a lot of my buddies, Broncos fans, I want to see that team be better competition. The other thing too is in Rubio, so many people gave up like on the Bengals. I didn't, and even our guy Big T knows. I've been taught like I thought Joey Burrow looking better than coming off the bye. I mean, team looks dangerous again. Do you have any thoughts on you're a Bengals fan, right? Obviously.
Oh yeah. I tell you, Burrow looked very mobile yesterday, and the 49ers seem to be a team trending in the wrong direction right now. That's clear. The Bengals, they made a lot of mistakes too, and still ended up winning pretty nicely. So, yeah, I mean, we all knew it was Burrow's calf and the O-line, just a mixture of everything. And then I thought
they always start slow too. They always start slow, and usually the Chiefs do too. And one team that didn't start slow. I got to transition to NBA real quick, but holy shit, the Nuggets looked incredible. I thought it was a textbook letdown spot where you have the Thunder playing really good, and they were 2-0 coming in. They have a good team. I thought Chet looked good in the previous game. It's a random 1 p.m. game on a Sunday, NFL Sunday. I've been watching the NBA for so long now. I'm telling you, these Sunday games are weird. A textbook, like I could see OKC stealing this one. This is like their Super Bowl. And no, MPJ comes in. And so I got the game up while I'm watching NFL. MPJ just on fire. Like they were up by like 30 at one point. And I was like, oh gosh. Like I had the side in money line for OKC. I just thought it was one of those nice spots. And I was wrong. I mean, the champs are legit. And I think, man, they're definitely a team to beat this year. But I digress. Let's get back into NFL. Can we go and let's look at the main slate yesterday real quick, doing the contest flashback here with Sabersim, a new feature that they have. If you aren't familiar with it, walk the people how to get there to the contest flashback, Rubio.
So you can go back to the menu and then go to any slate. So yesterday was the 29th of October. We go ahead and click the 29th of October. We go to contest here. And what you can do is you can pull up all the contests possible. So we had the 20, we had the 555, and you wanted to look at the 555, right?
Yeah, let's look at that 555. I haven't. So, and again, if anyone's out there saying that like we don't stand by our takes or play the plays that we say we're going to play or the play of the days, I'm going to show you right now. Not the case at all. Jahan Dotson, 0.95 percent owned, and in the 555, and I think I had him Can you see my overall player exposures?
Yeah, 100%.
I
Boom.
Yeah, so I took a heavy stand on him. He was in the flow chart. He was a value piece, and it was more so I wanted to get him in and then build different stacks around him in the seven builds that I made. And so you can see there, had a Burrow stack, Jonathan Taylor too, just pausing it. I mean, he had 2.5 quarters to get 5 more yards, and he couldn't get it done. It seemed like 2.5 quarters. I was kind of surprised by his lack of usage there in the second half. But I went with some full stacks yesterday. I thought it made a lot of sense. So that was my core right there. You see the Sam Howell build with the
right
back. I went Devonta Smith. I did a double with one run back with Brees Hall, Johnny Taylor. Kelsey obviously was hurtful. And what Flowers end up with?
Like 6.9 or 7.9.
He was kind of hurtful.
Oh,
I still stand by that build. I think my best lineup was not that one.
not
so I had a Jalen. Yeah, don't show.
I see it's at the top. Oh, look at this one. Oh, okay. Man, you had Dak too without Lamb. Damn.
So my one, go back to that one. My one problem with that, the Dak one, I got a little cute here. I went away from. I should have just locked Jahan Dotson in. I was already committed with 5 of 7. I just should have just committed to that and then built my different stacks around that. I went with Snyder's boy OBJ as a value piece. I think he dropped like 19 balls. He had the opportunity though, and then I went Dak and then just one value piece with the Cooper Kupp run back. Kupp was like 5%, and I was just like, you know what? Is this going to be one of those spots where Cooper Kupp just randomly nukes? And I probably, if I was playing a Dak stack like that, I probably should have just went with Lamb. Like when you look back to, and this is again, we're still learning, still getting better, but just looking at our guys' Statsationals probability to hit 60 plus combined chart as far as stacks go, you would have seen Dak, like if you're playing a Dak stack, you pair him with CeeDee Lamb, the wide receiver one there. And then if I went Dotson and then Devontae, like I was in the other one, that build would have been absolutely mint.
Oh,
yeah. That top one though, so there's a swap there. If I would have went with, obviously Pacheco didn't have a good game, but that build would have been up there if I would have had Brees Hall. But anyways, it was a decent. I mean, getting better, getting on the right path. I forget what were you on yesterday for the main slate?
Oh man, I was actually at a lot of Lamar. So I had 25% Lamar over on FanDuel and stuff. It just didn't hit. But I had a lot of Dak. I had a lot of Burrow. So it wasn't the end of the world or anything like that. But it'll be nice. I think yesterday you had it right. A lot of full stacks and a lot of 2 wide receiver stacks got there too. If you look at it from Dak's point of view, you got CeeDee Lamb, and then you could have played Ferguson, who did all right at tight end. It ended up being Trey McBride Day easily though. But even Brandon Cooks and stuff. It was Michael Gallup who also just the value. He's the only wide receiver to not get there, it felt. But yeah, you had just a lot of easy stacks. Jalen Hurts with Smith, Brown hit, Howell with McLaurin and Dotson hit. Just a lot of full stacks. It was the early games that did it too. I mean, if you didn't have the early games, you were cooked.
You definitely had to. And, the Cowboys defense was criminally underowned. I mean, they obviously smashed. Bengals defense, 2,200. And then I thought about it too, like Denver, with the condition, and hindsight's always 2020, but Big T did talk about it on the show. Flat 2K, quarterback sick, dealing with the flu in, freezing cold weather.
Yep.
Hindsight being 2020, that just seems like one of the easier plays that we all could have made. And I love the flat 2K. That's I was all, I play Bengals and they did. That's exactly what I wanted, 9 points. But anyways, I digress. Any other comments or anything else that you want to look at, or should we get to tonight's slate?
I think we're good for tonight's slate. It should be a fun one. So I'm looking forward to it. Las Vegas and Detroit. Las Vegas is the last time that – actually, no, we had the San Francisco slate. It was against who was it? Who did San Francisco go against? You
last week? The Vikings.
The Vikings, that's what it was. Yeah, the Raiders have also
Yeah.
been good to us too. So
this is going to be an interesting game because the Raiders lost it, and again, they were starting Brian Hoyer. So, I mean, we got to let it slide a little bit. But they got smoked by the Bears, who got smoked by the Bolts last night. And then the Lions got absolutely dismantled by the Ravens. And the Ravens game, did they sneak out a win yesterday? So much going on between NBA, watching the Chiefs game. They were struggling there for a little bit, right? Against the Cardinals?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they didn't cover. So that was sad.
Yeah. Oh, I'm looking at last week. So yeah, I think it's a really interesting slate tonight. You know, my big thing was, and again, I'm more of a poke at Lions fans out there just saying their team's overrated. Yeah, you guys got a really good team. This Raiders team has just been one that's I don't know. It's like they either give up and they're done, or they put up a fight. I mean, if you look at where they stand right now, they're 3-4. Like when I saw this team get absolutely destroyed by the Bears, it's like they're not that far off when you just look at where they stand right now with their record. They're playing in Detroit, obviously indoors. I don't know. What's your overall thoughts? And then do you have that base build ready to go?
Yeah, the base build is right here. So it's a fun slate, and I think that we don't have to captain a quarterback tonight, so that'll be something that we'll adjust for the sim build. But you do get your top line up here with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Goff, Patterson, Jacobs, Tucker, Gibbs. Right, that makes sense. You get your 3 line studs. You get a kicker who's been firing all season. The biggest thing, though, is that this is a terrible spot for running backs. If you looked at the flow chart, the Big T post, the positional matchups tool that Stats has on the site, Jacobs is also super cheap, though, for a guy who's going to get a ton of work. So it's going to jam in a lot of Josh Jacobs. I can just see it already. We have the exposure column right here that I'll drag over. 48% Jacobs there, and then Jacobs. So you get over 50% Jacobs. Actually, a little lower than I was thinking just on the base build, but it looks like it just loves these 3 lines.
So wait. Speaking of flowchart, I'm a huge fan of flowchart. I thought it was all main slate. I got to go back and look at it, but I have down this is actually a decent spot for Jahmyr Gibbs, going like Deontay Foreman, smashed obviously 2 touchdowns. Ramondre Stevenson the week before. AJ Dillon was good. James Cook was good. Is this not an okay spot for running backs against
quote unquote the nut low?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to talk to my guy Big T about that.
It is supported in that case on the running back position. Detroit's defense is pretty good. Nut low seems a bit harsh for Jacobs, but yes, it is on par with.
I am not looking at DVOA. I'm looking at true fantasy scoring.
This is just DFS points against is what this one judges by, and so it could have been a really slow start too, and maybe it's getting back to normal too, and we can play it that way. I mean, 15 is a low projection on Jacobs, so I mean, if we want to bump that up, we will get it. Maybe
no, I meant a good. So yeah, bad spot. No, I think okay. I'm 100% agreement with you. Really, really tough spot for Jacobs. Not low spot for. I agree with that. But against the Raiders, though, running backs have done pretty decent, is what I'm showing.
Oh yeah. Against the Raiders, absolutely.
Okay, Jacobs. Now we're aligned. All right, perfect. Yeah, I'm like, man, I'm putting all my faith into the flow chart there. I'm like, we can't be in disagreement.
I was looking at it. I was like, man, even the Ravens didn't run the ball on it. They just threw it all over the pitch. And Gibbs here, this will definitely be a good spot for Gibbs. I mean, that's just going to be obvious. With David Montgomery out, we get Gibbs. We get Amon-Ra St. Brown against this defense. This Raiders defense was torched with Tyler Bagent or whatever his name is, Tyson Bagent. So I don't mind attacking with the lines at all, but I do want run backs because I don't know. I think the Raiders can cover the spread here, and I think that Devontae Adams and squeaky wheel narrative is real. We don't get a whole lot of Adams here, but I do think I'd probably be lower on Amon-Ra St. Brown than the base build would say, and a lot higher on Devontae Adams. We
get Jimmy G back though tonight, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so that has to be a boost to Devontae Adams. Yep. What's our captain pool looking like?
So you see here the 3 Lions, and then it really disperses down low. It's got Laporta. It's like our highest rater is Josh Jacobs at 3%.
Gotcha. Yeah, looking at, I still have to update the past optimals. I'm a few games behind on there, but that will go up probably sometime after the show. Yeah, so we're not getting any. It's basically heavy Lions. We're not getting any Devontae Adams. Very little Jacoby Myers. Okay, interesting. So like when I look, go ahead.
Let's just look at the projections too. I mean, does anything seem glaringly off? I mean, you have the Lions as the 3 top projected guys, and then it's Adams at 16, Jacoby Myers at 14.71, Jacobs at 15.45. It's tough. I mean, are any of these guys better than the Lions? I think they can be, and it's good to mix it in. But I mean, they do all take away from each other a little bit. While for the Lions, it's basically just Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs show.
Yeah, so a few things just looking at kind of matchups and where each of these teams have kind of been exploited, at least looking through now 7 weeks of data against the Lions, wide receiver number 2. So I'm looking at Jacoby Myers, have actually done quite well. So this goes back to week 2, Tyler Lockett. He had an 8 reception, 59 yard, 2 touchdown game. Romeo Doubs, 9 reception, 95-yard game. Jonathan Mingo had a decent game against them. Chris Godwin had a good game against them, 6 receptions, 77 yards. And then Nelson Aguilar last week had that 1 touchdown against them too. So is this a spot maybe we look at Jacoby Myers there, who's the clear number 2 pass catching option? And then on the other side, it's for the Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs was the guy that really popped out for me. And then, so I like those 2. I think I'm fine bumping them up. What's your thoughts with that?
Yeah, I'm fine bumping them up for sure. And I'm actually doing that on the other tab right now. Well, you can't see it, but I'm bumping up guys up and down, and then we'll do the sim build here in a second. But yeah, I think Myers, I do think it's legitimate. I mean, people want to make fun of it or whatever, but ever since AJ Brown was angry on the sideline with Jalen Hurts, who got the ball was AJ Brown. He's been continuing to get the ball the last 6-7 weeks. Devontae Adams, he is not happy with his role. He's not going to be traded. First drive out there, 4 targets last week. I legitimately think that Devontae Adams is just going to be force-fed to the point where he's going to have to say no more. I just think that these wide receivers, when they complain about not getting the ball enough and stuff, it was very apparent the last time the Raiders played that Hoyer made it a point to get him the ball. I think that's going to be the same case that today too. So I'm going to bump up Devontae Adams quite a bit as well.
It does seem like a spot to where one of these, like when you get these games where the target tree is very defined, we have that on the Lions side, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs going to get a lot of that. And then we also have it, we've talked about it for a while now, like the Raiders have one of the most kind of defined target trees out there. And just, initially starting off the season, really peppering Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, and Josh Jacobs. I think with situations like this one, where like when we think about Mahomes slates, Mahomes spreads it around, and that increases his likelihood of ending up in that captain spot. Like if he throws for 4 touchdowns to 4 different receivers, it's very unlikely that any one of those receivers are going to be captain viable over Mahomes. But that narrative flips when you're talking about a quarterback like Jimmy G focusing on Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams has a 9 reception, 120-yard game and a touchdown or 2. It's going to be hard to beat that captain spot. Now, we have that on both sides of this. What's your thoughts on bumping up these like and again, we're kind of adding bias here, creating, different situations, but let's just say they go back to Devontae Adams. Like when you think about that raw projection on Adams, it does feel a little light. What if we bump him up close to Amon-Ra St. Brown, like bump those 2 guys over both of the quarterbacks? Because at the end of the day, I could see them both outscoring both of the quarterbacks.
Oh, I think 100%. And I do think that when we get into the Sims build here, I'm actually simming it right now. I'll let you know when it's done. We can flip it over to that. I don't think you captain a quarterback tonight. I just think the target tree for both teams here is clearly defined. You don't do it with Garoppolo because he's got Adams, Myers, and Jacobs there, right? I think any of those three would be way more viable. And then Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't think I'm going to captain a guy like Sam Laporta tonight. I really like Laporta, but I think it's just so easy just to stick with these guys who we know are going to get volume. We know have a lot of upside. We know have a good floor. And if their quarterbacks eat, they're going to eat. So, I think that's the easiest X out today is the quarterback captain. And I know I said that last time, the Cowboys-Chargers game, and it ended up being Dak. The only way one of these guys are optimal is if they run an 18-yard rushing touchdown. I don't think Jimmy G or Jared Goff are capable of that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. We agree there. The other thing I've seen, like if you just think about an Amon-Ra captain winning lineup, like going back to the past optimals or a Devontae Adams, and again, I'm a little behind. I got to get this updated, but the common theme with those type of builds is you need a cheap value piece in there. Again, this is my first time looking at this. Do we have any ultra cheap value pieces? Kind of like what we saw last night. What, 200 price players got in the box? Isn't that right in that game?
Yeah.
I don't think I had either of them either.
It was Simi Fehoko and Darrington Evans, the third string running back. So if you had him,
a bunch of who's, man.
People game log and be like, oh, look, Darrington Evans had a big role. Yeah, well, Rashawn Johnson was out. Yeah, one carry through 3 quarters. Anyway, here's your value here, AP. It's not great. Trey Tucker is going to be the one who pops off the page the most. He's going to get double-digit ownership according to Saber. He's going to have a decent role, but the other guys, it's a lottery for the most part. Hunter Renfro's cheeks. I just think that I don't even know what his game log has been, but I just can't imagine it's been good at all. This is the amount of times he lands in double digits is so slim. At least with Trey Tucker, I get some talent. I get a former University of Cincinnati legend and a guy who definitely is more capable of getting to the optimal.
Yeah, I'm looking at it too, and it does seem pretty thin. I mean, Sam Laporta, stud, obviously not a value. Michael Mayer, what's his price? Okay, so Trey Tucker is the value piece. DeAndre Carter, is he even playing much? He's got
he plays. So he dropped a touchdown a couple of weeks ago. From when I was watching the game, he would have had a great chance getting into that corner pylon and just straight up dropped it. But he was in the game. That's all that matters for these guys.
Yeah, and then you got Zamir White, what's his price?
Zamir White is 1,200 or something like that. No, he's more expensive. 2K. God,
I mean
1,600.
We need like these cheap value pieces. We want the production we saw last night, 7 points, 8 points. Not quite sold, but I'm really curious to see what the Sims say when we increase kind of the studs and looking for a stud captain build.
So let's go ahead and refresh. We got the studs builds. They are done, or the Sims, I should say. So let me go ahead and get the contest Sims added too, just for our sake. And let's do which one do you want to do? We don't even have to do the main one if you don't want. We can do let's do, is this a single entry?
Oh, you're on a 2-game slate.
Yeah, I am.
I was like, those look light, man.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, let's just work with what we got. Oh. All right, let's do the main one. Right.
Yeah, definitely the main. That's what. And again, like I'm always doing the main when I'm running it for my 50 or 75 lineups that I put in.
So this one is the Sims. So we can do this. Boom. Let me go ahead and rename this. And this is how you rename tools in Saber. So base builds and boom, easy enough. So let's go to exposures now. This is the captain exposures. See how much more you like them. I X'd out Jimmy. I X'd out what's his face? Jared Goff. Let's go ahead and get the contest Sims added and ran. And first initial thought, AP, is that we get a lot more Devontae Adams this time.
I like the names that I'm seeing there.
Yes.
Gibbs, like when I think of tonight's slate, and we know where both teams are going to go with the ball. We know we want to fade quarterbacks and captain. This is what I want my captain pool right there to look like.
Yep. Gibbs,
Adams, Amon-Ra, Jacoby Myers, like Josh Jacobs has had a tough year. If we go back to last year, he was captain optimal multiple times, but this man, they're struggling. They're definitely struggling to block for him. And like he had what's his best game? So like the opportunity has been there, but his best game was against the Chargers. Makes sense. He was targeted 11 times. Had to be a trailing script there. 8 receptions, 28 DK points. So he's had 2 good performances. One that maybe would get him in that captain optimal spot, and that was against the Chargers. Outside of that, it's been a tough year for Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, it's definitely been tough. I mean, the closest he came to being the optimal captain was that Packers game where he finished just like 0.5. If he got a 5-yard rush or something like that, he would have been the optimal captain over Jacoby Myers. But that's the one good game he's had, and that's the risk with backing bad teams and stuff. The Raiders aren't really fun to back. The catch is also trending just slightly down over the last 2 weeks. I understand that they actually won the game last time, and the weather was not great against Chicago, I don't think, in Chicago. But yeah, not a great sight to see if his receptions are trending down, because he's honestly been a great PPR back. So you need those receptions to trend back up, but he's always got double touchdown upside too. So I don't want to completely ignore it, but you see here, I mean, point per dollar wise, he's going to be a good play at 8,400. And that's just so cheap for Josh Jacobs. You wouldn't have thought that coming into the season. So we get a healthy dose for him, 43%. He's projected right around that range too. So you're even with the field. I think that's fine for a guy his price with his role.
Yeah, I agree with that. God, the more I think about it, this just does seem like a nice bounce back. I know I've given the Lions some crap over the last weeks, but they got to be able to handle the Raiders here. Like, this just does seem like a spot to where the Lions get back to what we were accustomed to seeing earlier in the season and just rolling. I really wish I had my past optimals updated. I really want to see what on the season, like the 4-2s, 5-1s, and 3-3 breakdowns look like. I'll have that in the 3 max piece that I do on the site. And just because, last week it was a 5-1 that got us there. I don't know if when you look at pricing on this slate, when you look at the defined target trees, it really doesn't seem like a spot where 5-1, like if you were looking at a 5-1, actually, can you pull that up? Like, how many 5-1s are we even getting?
Let's see, 5-1 wise. Let's see what we're getting.
And I always like to talk about this because everyone just like X's out 5-1s. And I'm just saying, doing the past optimals, it's insane how often I see a 5-1, like relative to what, because you'd think it like never happens. And I think that's how a lot of us think. And it happens a lot more than what I do think we all think. And with this Lions team, I know they have a couple like DeAndre Swift. What was a 5-1? DeAndre Swift, Jared Goff. Oh, it was against the Bears. This had to be what? This season, probably. I'm way behind on updating it. That goes back to last season.
I thought so. I was like DeAndre Swift. I'm like, oh, we're going back to Eagles.
Oh, like DeAndre Swift captain. That was definitely last season. Definitely testing the brain right now with being an NBA season and an NFL overlap. But what do these 5-1s look like?
These 5-1s aren't great. I'll be honest. I just think, in my opinion, I was on the 5-1s yesterday, stacking up these Chargers. Right?
I could see like this one working where it's like a full on Lions onslaught where Devontae Adams is the one run back on the Raiders side. But again, we need what? Brock Wright getting the ball. I mean, crazier things have happened.
I just think it's like almost better just to go with like the punt Raider in that case, right? Like, you just want to get the guy who's going to have his team trailing by a ton and maybe get some fourth quarter reps, because I could see the Lions running the ball 20 times in the fourth quarter, not throwing it once if they have to. And I think you would need the touchdowns to go your way and stuff. But with the cheapies being so bad, it's not like there's clear cheapies.
Don't you think that fits your script though, that you just talked about? Like, think about it. If you need Amon-Ra St. Brown to get there early. So I was talking about the Lions 5-1 just up.
Yeah.
Where you had Jared Goff and then you had both running backs. And then the random, tight end in there. Like that's if I was doing a 5-1 and building out like a Lions onslaught script, I think it would look like that. But I'm with you. I don't love it. I do think it sets up to be a good 4-2, 3-3 type of day. But I'm still like, I don't think I'm still going to like eliminate 5-1s. I mean, is that something that you're considering like on this slate?
Yesterday, I thought it was fine. Today, I just think these prices on the Raiders aren't crazy by any means, right? And look at the difference in pricing on kickers too. I mean, it's almost a 600 difference or something too. You're going to see a lot of price disparity. Let me go ahead and make a filter so it's easier to see too with my projection greater than, and let's do 0.5. Just look at this like range here. You see Carlson's 600 cheaper than Patterson. Mayer is a lot cheaper than the fourth time. Mayer's taking over that tight end one role. And then your cheapies are just it's Craig Reynolds, the second running back for the Lions, right? The backup running back. And then it's just a bunch of gross stuff. And if you're doing 5-1 Lions, you're going to be fed a lot of Reynolds, Raymond, Green, Brock Wright. And that's what's gross is that you can't live in the mid tier because their studs are priced up very well. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff above 10K. Gibbs is a little bit cheap. Without Montgomery, Gibbs gets a larger role, as we know. He ended up being really good last week. Garbage time touchdown. Doesn't matter how you get there. It just matters that you got there. And, I mean, this is a good spot for running backs if you're Gibbs. So I think it's just 4-2s feel a lot better just because the value on the Lions side is just so weak in terms of just point per dollar when it gets to under 7K.
I mean, when we look at this too, so they get Jimmy G back. It's almost like the Raiders are starting to understand that. Well, and again, the game went against them script-wise to like just pound Josh Jacobs on the ground. But, the flow chart shows this is a nut low spot. They could be in a situation again, like Devontae Adams, 12 targets last week. Jacoby Myers, 13 targets. If you add in then Amon-Ra St. Brown, 19 targets, 15 targets last two games. Like between those three guys, the target share is insane. And so I might just, go in on those guys and bump. Like I might over project Adams, Myers, Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then what? Maybe like a Sam Laporta. Like I'm not saying, Sam Laporta would be the other guy. Right there, your opportunities, your total potential touches and targets is just, insane. And I would add Josh Jacobs into the mix, but we really need them to use Josh Jacobs out of the backfield. Do you think there's any chance that maybe we see more dump offs like we did against the Chargers? I mean, he had 11 targets in that game. I'm trying to think back to what happened. Devontae Adams, 13 targets. Jacoby Myers, 4. So I don't know. It just seems like a slate to where, and I don't know if we've seen this yet on the season in a primetime game. Like I could see this slate too, having no quarterbacks like being optimal. Do we have any builds to where like we don't have either quarterback in the flex spot? It's pretty rare, I think, but you do see it from time to time.
We got 14 teams. Here's what it looks like. Jacobs with Myers and Adams. I don't like that one at all. And the reason being is that I think you would need a Lions wide receiver on the other side. So let's see if we get better here on the way in. Double wide receiver. I don't like it. I don't want two Raiders wide receivers in these teams because it just makes me feel that Jimmy G would get there at 9,400 if both these guys. I know they can get there with PPR, but if we're just talking about practicality and stuff, I think here this one could work. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Carlson.
Kicker. Yeah, you need the kicker. And you need you need one of those kickers to go off. And then you need Jared Goff, typically pretty good with limiting turnovers, but the Raiders, they're aggressive on defense. They're trying to get sacks.
Yeah.
Goff is I don't like playing defenses against the Lions because they're historically been pretty, it seems like, now again, maybe I'm way off, way wrong, but it seems like they're pretty good at limiting turnovers. Goff has what, four interceptions on the year?
Yeah, I mean, he limits it. And here's one that you might like a little bit more because this one makes sense too. It would definitely require Amon-Ra St. Brown getting into the box early, Jared Goff then not throwing another touchdown pass probably. you had the double running back, the kicker, the special teams, the defense, obviously, and then Devontae Adams is the run back. That is practical too. I mean, that could hit. Here's another one. This is actually a really good one. This would be my favorite outside Brock Wright. You get Adams, Patterson, Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Wright, and then Jacobs. That has enough volume on both sides to work.
Yeah. The other thing too is like these price tags on the quarterbacks aren't too bad. It was kind of why I liked Tyson Bagent last night. I just thought his price tag for a quarterback was pretty low. What ended up being the optimal last night? Was he in it, or it was a
5-1?
Was it a 5-1? Because Cole Kmet had a good
Kmet was the only one. Bagent did not outscore Keenan Allen even with the rushing.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Another 5-1.
If they got the 2-point conversion, Bagent would have been optimal. Jeez. And the defense would have lost points.
I love Showdown, man. I love Showdown. Oh, it's even though like this last main slate wasn't bad, it's Showdown is just
never mind.
Format.
4-2 actually got there in the end. 3-3.
Oh, it was a 3-3. Okay.
Oh, it changed a lot after that touchdown. Then I thought I checked it and it wasn't it. It was Eckler, Herbert, Bagent, Kmet, Parham, Evans. Evans a 13 piece. People love playing a third string running back. Do the same.
So yeah, okay. Helms, I'm with you. Again, I meant I like Crosby. Like not aggressive blitzing wise, but they are a team that can get pressure on quarterbacks by not, and that's Max Crosby right there. I'm just saying.
Last time someone was chirping about the Raiders defense being shit, they ended up being optimal. So
I like Max Crosby. The dude is like an absolute motor going 24/7. So
we completely recognize the Raiders are not a great football team, but you have to consider builds that make sense, right? If the Raiders defense can be optimal against the Green Bay Packers, against Patriots, I understand there's too much worse teams than the Lions.
I do love when it's like I've always gotten in trouble where I'm like, oh, this team, where it's a team that commonly just rushes 4, and I'll say that they blitz or something like that. And the chat always corrects me again. I don't have all the freaking stats up of what their blitz rate is up in front of me. I don't know those things at the top of my head. So it's more of the eye test, watching the Raiders play my Chiefs 2 times a year.
Yeah, it's just like one of those things too where like, trust us. I'm not coming in excited about playing the Raiders defense, but where it makes sense is that we have to consider it, right? Because look at this value range. I think Mayer is a way better play. I think these kickers are way better play than the Raiders defense. But you look below the Raiders defense, like I think Raymond's projected still a tad bit high. You're going to have these 3 with a very similar projection set with the Raiders defense, Reynolds and Raymond, and then just basement dwellers after that. So there's a chance that, the Raiders, if they get 5 or 6, could be in the optimal just because the value is so bad. Tucker would be your best bet as a value guy. If he got 4 or 5, maybe he would be optimal. But there's so many times where, you don't need the nut cheapie, even though I always love playing it. A guy like the Raiders defense or Mayer, if he gets like 8 points or something, could definitely be optimal. So I do like just being able to fiddle around what these ranges kind of exist, right? Like if we subtracted, let's subtract Raymond, Reynolds, and all these other cheapies, and then see where these builds lead us. I think it'll be a lot of Raiders defense and Mayer and Carlson and the kickers. So this makes sense here. I guarantee you get a lot of double kicker too. So like these double kicker teams and stuff. Wait, do we still have Jimmy Garoppolo? All right, we're good now. These builds make sense in my opinion. Like double kickers and stuff. Not that it's sexy or anything, but if you wanted to avoid that value range, something like this could make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it definitely could. Man, I don't typically run a lot of double kickers. If you get that nut script, then yeah, you're absolutely meant. But I absolutely get what you're seeing. If those values right there all underwhelm, and if we get a few 50-yard field goals, that path right there is meant. I would almost compare them to the defenses too, right? Defense, or what's the pricing on both defenses?
3,600 for the Raiders defense. The Lions coming at 5K. So Jimmy G takes care of the ball. But he's Aiden Hutchinson's been a beast though. Is he playing tonight? Let's see. I hope so. I don't want to say
Yeah,
Hutchinson's been a beast and then find out he's inactive. No.
I mean, watching McDaniels too, like over the past few weeks, great comment there from Helms 22. I mean, what was that? Was it last week or the week? It had to be the week before where they kicked a field goal and they should have. There was 4th and 1 or something, and
That was against the Chargers.
Against the Chargers, yeah. Come on, McDaniel, like you freaking.
Oh wait, no, was that against Pitt? Who was it against? God, it was
all these games are like running into each other now for me.
Chargers. Yeah.
Was it against the Chargers? Was it 4 weeks ago?
24-14, and then they kicked it to make it 24-17, right? I don't think it was against Pitt because that ended up being 23-18. But the Raiders have been playing so many damn primetime games, though. It's like their 4th primetime game, isn't it?
That's insane. That is absolutely insane. Yeah, man. Well, let's give kind of our final takes and we'll get out of here. We got, pretty aggressive agenda on the schedule today. With the NBA hardwood, I'll be back with Mangone in DC. That's at 4:45, like it is each and every weekday. Then our Big T and JSU taking you up to lock, and then we got the Print Factory right up after that. So for members, it's free tonight too. It's free, right?
Yeah, it's free tonight. The Print Factory is free tonight going up till lock, and it was the Pittsburgh Steelers. You guys were right. Still makes 0 sense that he did that. Now that I realize it, they were down 8 and he made it to being down 5. That is one of the dumbest things in the world, bro. I cannot believe that actually happened. Anyway, I thought it made sense to me. Oh God, that is terrible. But yeah, full agenda. The NBA, we got both NBA shows. We got the Up to Lock, Print Factory, JSU, Wiley, Big T. You got JSU and Big T taking you up to lock for NBA, and then up to NFL lock too. Then you're on the free show, right? You're on that hardwood too, 4:45. So yeah, it's going to be good. And I did want to shout out this one from Spencer Smith. Should we combine the Mayor and Michael Myers theme for Halloween? We said that last week, but it is October. It is spooky season, so you get one day into Halloween. Maybe this game bleeds into Halloween, and you get the full Michael Mayer power. So I think my final take on this game, AP, Raiders cover, but it might be like one of those could push or whatever. I love think that. 4-2 Lions or 3-3 ships. I don't think a 5-1's going to ship. Not too bold of a take or anything, but no quarterback captains. That is the one thing that I will go hard against. No quarterback captains tonight. Devontae Adams, the squeaky wheel narrative is real, and he is your optimal captain tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders got stomped by the Bills, and then last week, obviously, by the Bears. But outside of that, they've played a lot of close games. So I can get on board with that. They get Jimmy G back. I'm with you. No quarterback captains. I want to overproject the studs. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams. I'll throw Jacoby Myers up there too. Jahmyr Gibbs. What to do with Jacobs? I don't know. I don't want to totally dismiss him because he's I don't want to miss that game where it's like, because he's got to be somewhat, I could see him being somewhat under-owned tonight. So I don't know if I could do Captain Jacobs, but again, I definitely want the other studs in this game. Adams, Myers, Amon-Ra, Jahmyr Gibbs. I like the tight ends too. And then I like the Raiders kicker. So I think that's the script. I'm going to be under on defenses, no quarterback captains, skill position player captains only, mix in a kicker. I might just X out defenses tonight or under project. I'm not 100% sure yet. Any final thoughts or anything else from you, Rubio?
Oh, man, it's tough, but I'm just looking at it here. You have to fade one of these top guys going Devontae captain. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown could be the casualty there. Jameson Williams back in the fold. We didn't get to talk about Jameson Williams. We didn't talk about that at all. Him being back, kind of being a full go now for the Lions is a big deal. It just makes this offense a little bit better and stuff. So Laporta getting more comfortable. I don't know. I think if I had to fade one of these top guys, I don't want to fade the quarterbacks, if going Devontae Adams captain and stuff. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's been very good for, a little bit now. Maybe his role just decreased slightly. On 11-2, he's coming into the game. He's sick. He's questionable for tonight as well. I think I know he's just nuked a couple games in a row, but I don't know. Maybe the script is there for a fade for him.
Oh, I don't know if I can fade him. Unless he has that same flu.
Fan, of course.
What?
A Nebraska fan, right? Yeah.
Wait, for what?
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Amon-Ra. He's not from. He didn't play in Nebraska.
Who am I thinking?
Oh, you're thinking of Amir Abdullah.
Amir Abdullah, that's who it is. I know. I notated one dude as a Nebraska guy.
Yeah, where did Amon-Ra play? I can't even. I'm not a huge college guy, but Amir Abdullah was. Yeah, he's not going to see the field. He's RB number 3 for sure.
I'm out of it today, AP. I'm out of it.
Hey, dude, it's Monday morning. I'm with you, man. I'm definitely with you. With that in mind, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. It helps us out a lot over here at Rumpier Sports. I believe NBA 15 or RPS 15, 15% off your first payment. Come sign up. Come Rumpier. For Rubio Dimes, I'm AP. Peace.